Hello, this is Gabi, and I would like to welcome you to week 5 of our 2020 Pin Loom Mystery Weave Along. And you can see here on our introductory setup that it's quite a busy week, so there's a lot of stuff to look forward to. We finally will start using our yarn snippets, and then there's some weaving to do. And here you can see what we're going to do with the snippets. We will take a look at right and wrong sides of our fabric and our project. But since this is optional, let's take a look at a few other things first. And we start with the review from week 4. In week 4, we went over and up, and this is Gales. Let me just zoom in a little bit. This is Gale's presentation of her squares, and I was actually quite surprised because nobody really seemed to have any issues with sewing or joining squares horizontally. And then on the other hand, this is like, yeah, duh, because it's just a little bit more sewing, and that's pretty much it. So by the way, I want to thank everybody for beautiful presentations. Like, these were just the 2 L shapes, but people came up with a whole bunch of very pretty ways to present them. And then on the hexagon side, I have chosen Sarah from Ravelry. So this is what our hexagon groups from week 4 look like. Sarah just joined us this week for the weave along, and she was actually one out of several people who decided to join us. It's like, okay, you know what, this looks good, let's give it a try, I can catch up. And so welcome to all of you who just started this week. And Sarah just went right through and caught up completely. We have a few other people that said, I want to join, and they got started. So everybody is off to a great start. We have a lot of people that are right on track. A few people are behind, but they're still, don't worry, don't give up. You still have plenty of time to catch up. If you fell a little bit behind, no problem at all. This week and the next week will actually be relatively good for catch-up work. All right, so these were the 2 examples for the actual weaving of week 4, but I also had asked that you guess what the mystery might be. We had some really good guesses. Here's the first one from Susan. And Susan drew this beautiful, I really just love this the colors and the layout for a bag. And over the course of the week we actually had a whole bunch of bags, so this is kind of a hint. Even if this weave along will not be about making a bag, I think there needs to be a bag in our near future at some point. So thank you, Susan, for stepping up and posting this beautiful bag. I personally also really liked a lot Catherine's idea of making an apron. That's actually a project that has been on my list for several years now. And I know that Hazel Rose has made an apron at some point. So this is like really a good idea and a good use for our weavies. And oh yeah, here we have Hazel Rose. Let's see if this fits. Hazel Rose suggested that it could be a plant hanger, and I thought this was quite impressive. I would say a really big laughter came out of Jeff's submission, a walrus. So think of it what you want. It's a walrus. I love it, and definitely the artistic note is, you can't look over it. It's just perfect. So thank you for that really good love. Liz presented a pet sling, and I just think this was really cute idea. And my family's favorite is Catherine's cow that comes with a rope to rope it in. And actually, I didn't print it out, but we actually also have a cowboy who goes probably after this cow to just catch it right there. If you are one of the many people who said, I have absolutely no idea, that is fine too. And I found it quite heartwarming this week that Susan provided a Pooh Bear that's thinking about what the mystery might be. So there were lots of more. I just can't show them all, but this was like just a little story developing here. Everything is on Pinterest, so if you want to see more idea and beautiful pictures and drawings and what have you, thank you for everybody's contributions here. So this much about the review. Let's go straight to week 5. Week 5 Weevies. And Suzanne last week suggested, let me just put those aside for now. Suzanne, I suggested that it's a little bit hard to read here in the video. I highly recommend that you print out the worksheet before you watch the video so that you can actually follow along, because I don't want to zoom in and out too much, but I want to walk you through the worksheet, and that's easiest if you have it with you so that you can actually read it, and I can just tell you, okay, now we're here, and talk about it. So Weevies for week 5, and I can show you what they will look like here. If you read the instructions, you might think that this is actually rather uneventful what we're doing. We will have, of course, 6 Weevies, either squares or hexagons, and on the square side, let me zoom out. Here we go. On the square side, we will make 3 strips with 2 squares each, and there is a note here in your worksheet: important, squares only. This week you can integrate your 2020 square from week 2 if you want to, but you don't have to. If you're not sure, you can just do what I did here. Let me show this to you. And just pin it for now until you see the final project, and then you can decide if you want to put the 2020 in here or not. So what you will be reading is you need 2 of the CC1, put them together, and then CC2 and background, CC2 and background, or the 2020 square. All right. On the hexagon side, let's just zoom out a little bit more. We also have 3 pieces with 2 hexagons each, and there is the first couple is CC3 and CC1, and then we have 2 that are the same: CC1 and background, CC1 and background. You can see here on the samples, that's why I laid them out next to each other, the 2020 only for squares. Hold on to your 2020 for the hexagons. Don't do anything with it. Okay, so you will have and the instructions again are here. So hexagons only, you will not need your 2020 hexagon at this point. 5B and 5C are the same. All right, so rather uneventful it seems. However, we have a few other things that I would like you to do this week. And let me just find my, yeah, here we go. This week I would like you to check your work. Remember from week 1 when I asked you to put the sample yarns here on this worksheet? And this is supposed to help you to, throughout the weeks, always make sure that you use the same color for CC1, CC2, CC3, and the background color. And you can see with all the things by now, you know, with all the things that we have been doing, this might be kind of confusing. And I do expect, or did expect, that somebody probably would miss some weeks and some pieces, and that this would come up next week. However, and I'm very grateful for Nanette's work. Let me see if I can zoom in here a little bit. Nanette posted this week on Ravelry. She said, oops, I messed up. I had, and this was for week 3, she noticed it in time. She had used the incorrect color. However, she noticed it and fixed it. And so what I would like to suggest for this week is that you go ahead and check your work. So take your worksheet from week 1 and just lay it next to you, and then go through all the pieces that you have woven so far and make sure that CC3 is always CC3, CC2 is always CC2, CC1 is always CC1, and that you always use the background color where you're supposed to do it. Okay, so the way it goes is like when you, for example, here have CC3 and CC1 for this week, then you say, okay, CC1 here is this color and CC3 is this color. Yep, that would be this example here. CC3, CC1. Yep, I'm good. Check. So this is a good time to check, because next week we will have another set of 6 weaves, but after that we will start assembling our project. And so this week will be a good time to check your work. I have it listed here as recommended, but it's still optional. If you feel good, or if you have worked carefully throughout the weave along and feel comfortable, you don't have to do it. Okay, but if this is a good time to check it. And thank you, Nanette, for providing the examples for us for that one. All right, this week, let me just clean up my paperwork. This week's optional task is that I would like to explore the right and the wrong side of your work. And we can just use some of our examples right here. Let me see if we can see where we have 2 colors. That's probably a good one. So for example, this week, for the squares, we will sew together CC2 and a background. Okay, and what we had talked about is lay them out the way they come off the loom, and then pick them up and sew them together. Okay, like this. And this will be what people call the wrong side. And maybe you can see this here a little bit. Wrong side is, so this is the side where we were sewing, and this is also where we wove in the end. If this is the wrong side, if you turn it over, like this. So this is the right side. Okay, it's a little bit flatter and it's smoother. And I had not wiggled this since I had sewn it together. So this is the right side. It's very, very flat and even, and you don't see the bump from where the end was sewn in. The reason why this is a little bit difficult to see is because the wrong side and the right side are actually both pretty good on the work that we have been doing so far. The other thing is that I never asked you to deal with it or watch out for it, because I have designed the project in a way that it really, if you follow the instructions, you are good. You don't even have to check for anything. However, this is a good thing to know when you start doing your own projects, where it might matter that you have that you learn about the right or wrong. So this is why I have an optional task this week where we take a look at right and wrong sides. Since this is so difficult, here, for example, with the hexagons, it's probably even more difficult. So this is the wrong side, the side where we sewed, and if you turn it over, this is the right side. You barely see a difference, and that's just the nature of a simple whip stitch. But depending on what joining method you used, and sometimes the yarns and the projects, what have you, you will see a little bit more of a difference. So this is why this week we will try out a little optional task. And let me clean up this one. In the instructions you see a whole bunch of pictures. What I want you to do is grab your gear, grab your looms, and I have prepped our two looms here, the square loom and the hexagon loom. And you will need, this is the famous week, well, you will need your snippets. I always have, I think it was Suzanne who said she has a little basket in each room to collect those snippets. I have this little bunny bowl, and just in where I wind my yarns, and so this is like where I collect my you can do so many things with that. Sometimes when I have too many, I use them for stuffing for pets or animals or lavender sachets or what have you. But what we will do today is we will do some type of Saori weaving. And you might wonder what I mean with Saori weaving. I got an official or semi-official, I looked at definitions, like how do you explain to people what is Saori, and I found one on Curious Weaver in Australia, and they just say it like hands down, very straight on, and I quote, "Saori is hand weaving that emphasizes and prioritizes creativity and free expressions. No rules, no fear. Just pure absorption and immersion into weaving and working with yarn and threads." And that is what I would like to encourage you to do. So what we will do today is we will take those little snippets and weave them into our squares and hexagons. Why do you ask? And okay, let me just give you a little outlook. This is where we will be going. So I want you to weave 2 squares or 2 hexagons and practice a little bit Saori, and I will show you how I did it. And then I want you to join those 2 weavies, and then we can look closely on the wrong side with the seam, and turn it over and see that we have a right side with the pretty little fringes. Okay, so we are doing a little bit Saori weaving to have a real right side of the fabric or wrong side of the fabric. And the same with our squares, right side of the fabric, wrong side of the fabric. And yes, I'm just waiting for somebody to say, but I like the wrong side. Yes, it's pretty too, but not today. So let's take a look. So how does this work? What are we going to do with our snippets? Let's take a look at our square weaving first. So I have it prepared to this point. The winding, the 3 layers, 1, 2, and 3, and then I started weaving a few rows right here. So let's just finish this one row up so that I can show this to you. There we go. All right, now what? Let me zoom in here. Okay, I think this should work. What you will need is a tapestry needle. Any tapestry needle will do. And I'm just taking one contrast snippet of yarn here. And what we will do is we will go, let me see if I can. You can see here the shed. So basically I just wove a row and you can see the shed. And what I'm doing is you can go between here, those where there's a little bit more space, go between here and then go through any number of warp threads like this. And really there's no rule to how many, just pick something and then pull this through like this. Okay, and then you pull the snippet close to your weaving like this, and then you weave the next row. Let me just turn this around and do this with my left hand because that goes a little bit faster. And you can see, oops, you can see how the snippet, the yarn snippet that we pulled through now becomes part of our weaving. Okay, and you weave like a row or two and then you do another snippet. Depending on the yarn that you are using, you can gently pack your weaving. All right, and I just, let me zoom out so that you can actually see the action a little bit better. I pick another, oh, there's a good one, another snippet. And this time again I just go any, and the Saori thing is you just pick something, you just go anywhere, don't count or plan, just do it and enjoy it. Okay, so Saori, you just do it and enjoy it, and that's, you know, creativity comes all by itself. I am using for the sample snippets from my project, but you can see that there you go. And then you know, you do like 4 or 5 or whatever, how many you like. Yeah, you can use any of your project or any others that you might have. And then afterwards, you just go ahead and clip the ends if you feel like it. And that will give you a square. So this one has like 5 or 6. This will give you a square with these stripes. And aren't they happy? You know, and each one is individual, and it's really easy to make very pretty patterns actually. Okay, so just another note on Saori. Here's an example that I made a few years ago, which is a greeting card, and I used you know, there's a piece of ribbon, some silk yarn, some shiny yarn, some mohair lock, a little bit of a pattern in between. Just enjoy and just let it come to you. Whatever comes to you, enjoy weaving it. And what I did here, I mounted it to a card. You can use double-sided tape or what have you, and then as a greeting card, and you can use that as a greeting card, make somebody happy, or you know, start early for the holidays. So this type, and it's very, very satisfying. Anything goes. You just start and enjoy. So this is Saori weaving. Do a search on the internet with you know, what is Saori weaving, and see some really interesting examples. Anyway, so that much about Saori weaving. We are using it today in this optional task to show right sides from wrong sides. So basically, in this case, this will be our right side, and on the back, this will be our wrong side. Okay, let's take a very quick look at the hexagon. It's only slightly different. On the hexagon, what I want you to do is weave the first part where you fill in the warps, and when you get to the second part where you weave back and forth, you just weave like a couple of rows or so. Let's do one more row here. And if you want, you can pack it a little bit, and then you grab a string. That's one that has good contrast. It's a little bit short, but that doesn't matter. And you see here, there's the shed a little bit. Okay, so this is like where some of the threads are automatically a little bit higher. You can pretend this is your shed, and then you just, with your crochet hook or your locker hook or whatever you use, just pull a little bit through the little string through, and pull it towards your weaving, and then you weave your next row, which automatically will lock in that little snippet of yarn. If you want, you can pack it. You see it? So this is your right side. This was a short piece, so this doesn't need to be clipped. The right side and the wrong side. Okay, and then if you look at the instructions, I'm explaining to you. So you start with the right side, you start with the little fringes pointing up, and then you flip the hexagons or the weavies over. Let me actually show this to you both simultaneously. So squares or hexagons. Start with the right side, have them next to each other, flip them over, and then sew the seams. Okay, I did not clip them here intentionally so that you can see. So this is your wrong side. You can check it based on the pattern that you wove. You sew in your thread, and you can clip it. Okay, you sew in your tail, and you can clip it if you want, and then you can flip it over and have the right side with a flat seam. Flip it over, you have the right side with a flat seam. Okay, so this is a little exercise to just practice getting used to looking at right sides and wrong sides. Again, for this project, it is not super important, but it's a great way to become familiar with the basic concept. Enjoy the Saori-style weaving. Again, here we are using it to showcase what's right and what's wrong, but you can certainly after that go ahead and just make some pretty cards or whatever your heart's desire, or just weave and try things out. All right, I think this is it for today. Yes, when you are done with your right side or it's and wrong side joining, go ahead and post a picture. Also go ahead and post a picture of your weavies for the week, and then it's just one more week to go until the big mystery will be revealed. Have a great week. Bye.